it's you, home slice, get off the track. But now they're pointing at you with the black flag. You know, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman. I'm a philanthropic investor, and I built 40 companies from nothing, and most notably my nonprofit Operation Hope. And part of that is Bryant Motorsports Academy, which Henry Ford III and I are using through STEM education to inspire young people to find careers in motorsports. Nobody really likes the old boys clubs unless you're in the old boys club. And there's been a lot of legitimate activities within motorsports to open those doors, break up the old boys clubs, but unfortunately, sometimes you may end up mistakenly creating a new old boys club in its place. I am still excited about motorsports, and I'm going to be at some point become a pro-am, part of a pro-am team. I'll be the am part. I won a race in South Africa. I won a race, a club race in Norway, a prototype race I won in South Africa, but I had never raced in the United States, even though I have my racing license. You know, you watch racing on TV, and all the way from Formula One to Indy to NASCAR to, you know, whatever, the Trans Am series, these are not inexpensive pursuits. In many cases, you need $1 million budget, certainly a few $100,000, not just to buy the car, but to maintain and to support your hobby. And it really keeps the community of folks who can do this very small. And there's been a lot of attempts of late to expand this space. And a friend of mine gave me a chance to race, I think it was an E46, a car I'd never seen before, never been in before, and never touched, drove, trained on, but part of the American Endurance Series. I think it's American Endurance Racing, I think it's called. And it was a great series, and I was so excited. It was a way to enter racing at a competitive professional level. And a friend of mine had a team, and he was gonna let me be the third driver on the team. And so I showed up. Because I was out of town, I showed up the day before racing. I sort of missed the practice day. And so it was raining out on top of everything else. I'd never driven in the rain before. So I'm in a new car, new experience, new team, new environment. And they said, don't worry about it, John. Just hang back, bring us the car back in one piece. Enjoy the experience, there's no stress. Okay. So I lowered the expectation level and increase my level of responsibility, bringing the car back in one piece. So the guys get around, they get up to third, fourth, fifth place, and they hand me the keys. And I figured I'd go out for 30, 45 minutes, try not to screw anything up. To my utter amazement, and I think to everybody else's amazement, I was actually keeping pace and actually advancing, and had gotten back up to fourth place. And after an hour, the team said, well, you should probably stay out there. And I was better than I thought I was. And I don't think I got overconfident. I think I got channel vision. An entrepreneur is focused. And I got really laser-like focused. So much so that after almost 2 hours, I think I had like 2 laps to go. And we were in like 4th or 5th place out of a field of like 50 or 60 cars. I got laser focused, and there was a yellow flag. And there was some debris on the track. And I wasn't going very fast, but I was still passing fellow drivers under the yellow. And when I came around and a guy waved the black flag at me, I said to my team captain, hey, I think I've got the black flag. I think you need to go in. He said, no, that's not for you. You sure? Yeah, I'm sure it's not for you. You want to check with anybody? No, it's not for you. Just keep going. You're doing great. Okay. Wrong. So I went around again. Now this was, I'm not coming the back end of Road Atlanta, 8, 9, down to the S's, up through under the tunnel, and that was my chance to get off. Well, I missed that, which means you got to go all the way around now with everybody very clearly stating, it's you, home slice, get off the track. But now they're pointing at you with the black flag. So they're not very happy. And I can respect that. I understood, right? And it doesn't do any good for me now to blame anybody else. Like, I have to own it, right? That's what leadership's about, right? So I didn't blame anybody else. I came around, got off in pit lane, and when I pulled up, I think the race officials had an opportunity too. They had a teachable moment for a new driver. They had a moment to become an ambassador to this sport. So I'm in the pit lane, I pull up, I've screwed up. I'm about to own it. If you give me a chance to open my mouth, I say, excuse me, and the guy says, go down to your pit. So that was the first missed opportunity, I thought. They could have said, what happened? Did you not see the flags? And I would have explained, but they had already made up their mind. Don't bother me with the facts. We'd already made up our mind. So I went down into my pit area, and now one of the race officials had already made his way down there. And I mean, if he could have jumped out of his own skin and had his voice screaming at himself, he would have amplified it, and he would have jumped on my car screaming at me. But he was standing in front of me, screaming, "What the heck?" And this, not the heck. You can imagine what he was saying. "What? Who do you think you are?" Basically, in my racetrack, on my race, on my track, screaming out. Now, by the way, I didn't touch anybody. There was no incident. There was no speed by, fast by. There was no paint exchange. We were going. I mean, maybe I was going 50 miles an hour when I passed some folks or less. It wasn't dramatic, but I screwed up. Be clear, I screwed up. I own it. But this was a bit over the top. And so I said, look, I'm afraid you're gonna have a heart attack. Like, can you calm down? Like, okay, I screwed up. So he asked a question but didn't really want the answer. What are you doing out there? Well, I'm my first time driver. That doesn't matter. Okay, why'd you ask me the question? Well, look, I really apologize. It was my first time out. I blew it. I just got so in my chest. Well, so he starts, lecturing me, and it became a crap show. And all of my family are observing, and I got many issues, but self-esteem's not one of them. So it didn't bother me. I just sat there and let him finish. Like, okay, you need to take some pills for that, brother. You don't seem like a very happy person. And I just think that was a blown opportunity. I think there was an opportunity to train, educate, inspire, forgive, and maybe create the biggest advocate for that series they'd ever met. Now, what they didn't know was that my friend is Henry Ford III, who partnered with me on Brian Good Motorsports Academy, and my next phone call was to him. What they didn't know was that we partner with, I won't name the name, but a lot of large brands on motorsports, and I was going to brag to them about this series. What they didn't know is that I had 3 Fortune 500 CEOs who said, "Tell me how that race went. I've always wanted to race. Maybe I'll come out and do it with you." And they had unlimited pocketbooks. And one thing we know about motorsports is you need pocketbooks. That could have translated into sponsorship. I mean, I got a big mouth. I mean, when I love something, I can tell the world. Now, I'm not a vicious guy, malicious guy. I don't trade in toxic energy. So this is the first time I've actually told the story. And even in telling the story now, I hold no malice. Actually, the guy who screamed at me, I will give him credit, actually came back later and apologized and actually sent me a Facebook request, a Facebook friend request. But and so I don't hold anything personal. I don't plan to go back. I mean, I don't plan on spending several $1,000s plus my valuable time to have somebody scream at me. I just think there was a lost opportunity to expand the sport. And if we want a true sport, not just a club for a few guys to race, then we got to start acting in a more sportsman-like way, start being gracious when young people and newbies get on the track, be encouraging, not critical. I mean, even when having nothing to do with this series, when I would post on my Facebook page early on when I was running, I'd post a time that wasn't all that great, I guess, for somebody who had a Ford Shelby G230R. Some guys would ridicule that. And I think that's just like not healthy. Like, again, good thing I have high self-esteem. Otherwise I would have just said, who needs this, right? I think we've got to all just remember, it's an old Southern saying, watch how you live your life. It may be the only Bible anybody else reads.
I loved the way the Avalon King ceramic coating worked on my Porsche 993, so I was excited to try it out on my LP640. We put a clear bra on the car, but then on top of that, we put the ceramic coating to make it easier to clean. And after a 2,000-mile road trip, all the bugs just sprayed right off. It worked great on my car, and you should try it on yours, so there's a link in the description below for a discount.